That's maybe in the back of their minds. I think the MDL game is also against GeekFam. I'm gonna check the schedule for that right now just to make sure. So give me a second here. Still no picks in the meantime. GeekFam are scratching their heads. Nobody's disconnected, right? No DCs. They're just wondering what the hell they do, I suppose. They're gonna pick the Underlord again? I mean, it is good against Terrorblade. That's for sure, but I don't know. They've picked the Underlord really early now. I guess this time around they'll probably avoid Faceless being able to go for the aggro try, and giving the Underlord a not so favorable matchup against the Timbersaw. And I mean, the Timber's already banned, so. But that means that one of these two heroes is playing position 4, and that still seems greedy to me. Of course, the Underlord can stall out the game a little bit, but then they're still going to have to try and secure kind of better late game, I suppose. Anyway, let me have a quick look at this MDL schedule.
5 seconds remaining.
Do they have a match
Reserve
today?
Time.
No. Interesting. All right. So I thought I saw that on Wikipedia, but it looks like it's not in the actual MDL schedule doc. So never mind that. All right. Omni Knight is the ban. I mean, one option would have been here for Faceless, just put a repel on their Terrorblade, and then he doesn't care about the Firestorm nearly as much. And it looks like Faceless in general just worried that GeekFam are going to try and split push them into oblivion and just stall out the game. I don't know how Faceless look to punch through this, honestly. What can they do? They could pick like a Dazzle just for some push sustain, and they could Death Ball around that. They could pick some heroes that are good at jumping the Underlord. Storm Spirit probably a little bit out of the question, just because there is the Nyx Assassin on the field.
Reserve time.
So in terms of heroes to jump in and kill him, maybe we could see something like a Clockwork for the off lane, but then they would be very all in on winning the game fast and, you know, really enabling the Terrorblade to do his business. So maybe that's not what they want to go for. The TA could be alright, but maybe susceptible to the Underlord in a lot of the same ways that the Terrorblade is. Of course, she's a little bit more plus damage oriented than stats oriented, so she cares a little bit less about the atrophy aura, but
10 seconds remaining.
Still, alright. GeekFam are just kind of worried about that 5-man strat, getting rid of the run at you offlaners of the Omni Knight and the Abaddon.
Admiral Kunkka.
And Faceless just gonna grab a Kunkka. Alright, well that's a pretty good counter to the Dark Rift. That's gonna make the Underlord a lot less safe. This is not a hero that we see that much of, but I guess if the enemy team's busting out weird heroes, you gotta bust out some weird counters, perhaps. Alright, so they got good catch. That's gonna help them find and lock down the Underlord potentially as well. GeekFam just gonna go for Rubik. There's some pretty reliably good spells to steal this game between the Crystal Maiden and the Kunkka, so I don't mind this Rubik pickup all that much, though he is gonna be position 5 this game. Probably not getting all that much farm priority off of the map.
10 seconds remaining.
Especially with the Nyx Assassin wanting to definitely grab some items, pick up his Arcane Boots at the very least, maybe go for a Midas, that kind of a deal. Rubik does give them some more D-push and some more spam as well with the Fade Bolt, so it's going to help them hang on this game. And even if he doesn't get a pair of Arcane Boots of his own, then the Nyx Assassin and the Underlord can help supplement his mana pool so that he can keep that Fade Bolt spam going, and they can hopefully stall out for whatever their superior late game is going to end up being. The only problem that I think they're going to run into is that Faceless have the last pick. So they have the opportunity to even just go more greedy with their lineup if they feel like GeekFam haven't picked up the appropriate heroes. They've kind of picked to pick off and stall so far, but they haven't picked anything to stall into, I think is the issue. And Faceless pick up an ET? Wait. So is it core Kunkka or is it core ET? Is it offlane ET and support Kunkka? Now, either way, they've got an absolutely insane amount of team fight.
10
But
seconds
I don't really know
remaining.
what the motivation is for this Elder Titan right
5
now.
seconds
Gives them a little bit of
remaining.
scouting.
Juggernaut.
GeekFam just gonna go for a jug.
Radiant
Pretty-
team ban.
Pretty stable carry. Not that amazing against the Terrorblade necessarily, but I guess they just want somebody who's not gonna get messed up by the X marks torrent. And they don't want to pick Lifestealer because Lifestealer is even worse against
10 seconds
Terrorblade
remaining.
than Juggernaut is. So I guess it's the lesser of two
5
evils.
seconds remaining.
But this is interesting from
Dire
Faceless.
team ban.
GeekFam's lineup is honestly a little bit bland. Yeah, Shadow Fiend gets banned out. I mean, they do just need some kind of scaling mid-hero. If they wanted to really put the hurt on the Terrorblade, maybe they could pick something like
10
a Zeus
seconds
here, but
remaining.
there's so much catch that playing Zeus might become very, very
5
difficult.
seconds remaining.
Does give them some more global presence to go along with their Nyx Assassin. So if he's off fishing for kills,
Dire
it can
team
add that little bit of extra damage to help finish it off, which can be good. But again, the problem that they're going to run into is that Faceless have this last pick, so they have the advantage in terms of closing out this draft.
10
Alchemist
seconds
ends up being
remaining.
banned. TA makes it all the way through, though I don't know if
5
either team
seconds
wants it
remaining.
that badly at this stage. GeekFam, not a whole lot of time
10
left on that
seconds
reserve clock. They got
remaining.
10 seconds to make a decision.
Invoker.
And it's going to be Invoker. Alright, well I talked about Zeus
Radiant
providing a
team
little bit of
pick.
global presence to go along with the Nyx Assassin. They are going to pick the Invoker instead. It is good against Terrorblade for sure, but it's also slow. And if Faceless somehow figure out how to shut this Underlord down in the early game, then I think GeekFam are going to get run over.
10 seconds
Like,
remaining.
this Underlord is going to have to figure out some way to secure his farm. He definitely needs a
5
ward
seconds
in his
remaining.
off lane, because if the Crystal Maiden and the Kunkka can just run at him from the side whenever they want, he's never going to
Reserve
get any
time.
farm. And as much as Underlord can back off into the jungle a little bit, he doesn't want to sack that tier 1 tower that early, because if he sacks that tier 1 tower, then it's going to open up the Terrorblade to, you know, head off, put some pressure elsewhere, and really make the map feel very small before GeekFam are even online. Because right now their plan is pretty much just, oh hey, our Underlord and our Invoker can spam so the game will, and the Rubik can spam so that the game will be somewhat delayed. And I don't know if Faceless are going to give them that opportunity. This Terrorblade takes towers fast. So if they can just pick you off as they're coming in for that tower push, then that outspam strategy may not be quite so effective. And what will the selection be
10
for Faceless? The
seconds
TA
remaining.
is a good matchup against the Invoker, though perhaps a little bit difficult to play this game, and it is going to be a mid Slark, it looks like. This is also not fun at all for Invoker. Invoker, if there's one thing that Invoker doesn't deal with well, is heroes that just get up in his face. You know, stuff like Axe and Clockwork and Slark and PA. You know, sure, he can, once he gets past a certain point, he does start dealing with them a little bit with just better positioning. Maybe he's got a blink, that kind of a thing. But in the earlier stages of the game, it's very difficult for him to peel for himself. So I like this Slark pick. It's also pretty good against the Underlord. Just hunt him down, find those kills. Good against the Jug.
10 seconds
It is
remaining.
jabs on the Terrorblade, but I feel like the Slark is going mid this game.
5 seconds remaining.
I guess we'll have to see. Maybe the Terrorblade is going mid because they want the Slark to have the kill potential on the Underlord, but I feel like even with the Terrorblade, they're going to have kill potential on the Underlord with the Crystal Maiden and the Kunkka there. But either way that they do it, the Crystal Maiden and the Kunkka are going to run around like morons and just kill Invoker and Underlord nonstop. Like, even if the Underlord... The problem is, so let's say Underlord is like, oh, screw this lane, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm just going to buy an Iron Talon and go hit jungle creeps. Then nobody is scouting for bottom. So that means that the Kunkka and the Crystal Maiden are just going to... instead of messing up the Underlord's day, they're going to mess up the Invoker's day. So Velo is probably a little bit pressured to actually go and contest the bottom lane somewhat, though I don't know how easy that is for him this game. If he goes bot, he dies, but if he doesn't go bot, then Invoker dies. Yeah, tough situation all around. Let's get ourselves into this game. It is game 2 if you're just tuning in here for the Epicenter Moscow SEA qualifiers. Faceless versus GeekFam. We're going to find Faceless at a 1-0 lead. Quick pause and let's get our introductions underway. We got Nuts on the Crystal Maiden, XY on the Kunkka. Jabs is going to be your Terrorblade. Looks like he is in fact heading mid. Black's going to be on the Slark, and we've got Ice 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 on an Ice 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 special, the offlane Elder Titan. Meanwhile, over on the GeekFam side, 10-10-10 on Rubik. Psionics on the Juggernaut. Teehee is going to be on the Invoker. We've got Raji on Nyx Assassin. And who have I missed here? Oh, it's of course Velo on the Underlord offlane. So some early smoke movements out to plant down a couple of observer wards. GeekFam do manage to get a ward down here, scouting out the potential rotations from the Crystal Maiden as the Kunkka as they make their way back and forth from mid lane down to bottom lane. They do not... Oh, they do have some sentries, in fact, but looks like maybe they didn't spot where this ward was planted, so...
30 seconds to
just
battle.
gonna end up losing their observer ward pretty quickly. That does give a little bit more of a clue as to the fact that the Crystal Maiden was spotted planting that, but are they going to be able to get rid of it? Nuts. He's going to try and de-ward this cliff. Is he thinking, oh man, this is just way too obvious, or... Alright, so... Jug's coming bottom. Underlord's heading to the offlane because they have less kill potential on the Jug. I mean, Underlord's heading to the safe lane because they have less kill potential on the Jug. So, Jug gonna sacrifice his early game a little bit just so that they can get the Underlord the early farm. And he can come online to stall the game out a little bit, but... I don't know. These Faceless supports are bloodthirsty. I think all I'm going to have to do in this early game is just watch the Crystal Maiden and the Kunkka, and that's going to be where all the action is this game. Probably looking for an easy first blood here. Top the meta. Torrent lined up immediately as well. Invoker, no chance to escape. One more auto attack from Jabs is going to do it. Gonna grab some easy CS to follow it up. So, despite the adjustment from GeekFam, still gonna start taking some pressure, and Faceless, that was their only smoke for the time being, so gonna be a little bit more difficult for them to make a repeated gank, but I don't know if Invoker is destined to have a very fun time here on the mid lane. Alright, XY does get scouted, making his way down towards bottom. Black has been pretty much unable to approach the creep wave just yet. Jug chopping away at him a little bit. Has scaled up the pounce just for safety reasons. Ice 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 managing to split the wave up somewhat, so getting away from Velo, and will be able to start farming up for himself. The big camp has been blocked out by GeekFam, and this is a pretty conscious decision to keep the Crystal Maiden away from top, give some vision to the Underlord, and also prevent the ET from getting some bonus damage off of that stack. Kunkka does manage to find a nice torrent onto 2 heroes, and that's going to keep him alive. The spin was available for the Jug, but Psionics not going to pop it, and XY does just walk away. A little bit of help from his Windlace as well. Meanwhile, Nuts doing a little bit of jungling. 2-minute rune going to be popping up, but it looks like Raji will be able to steal this. Torrent comes out, they both get caught by the stuns, but XY a little bit closer to the rune will be able to grab it. Probably asking if Jabs wants to use the shrine, but Jabs has no such interest. And Invoker has a couple of denies under his belt, but this Terrorblade is crushing him on the CS. 11 for 5 versus 3 and 3. The Alacrity is coming up to help out Teehee a little bit. His harassment against the Terrorblade barely tickles. Torrent not going to land. Metamorphosis is coming back up in 20 seconds time, so maybe we'll see another Crystal Maiden gank happen around that time. Crystal Maiden, speaking of her, has some boots of speed up and does have the smoke on the old quick buy right now, so just waiting for the courier to get back. Black has managed to looks like he's probably pulled some aggro tricks to grab 6 CS so far, so he's not having a very fun time, but Slark is a hero that can catch back up in the jungle, assuming that he just gets his levels, so not the worst thing. Rubik, nice little juke, will be able to get the TP out. Black can take a couple of stacks for himself, but I mean, it's only level 1 Essence Shift, so not going to get that much value out of taking it back to the lane. Raji does find a nice stun onto Nuts, but no backup anywhere to be found. There is a Sunstrike coming in, not going to connect. Raji still has boots. Able to keep on chasing 1 second until it's done, but XY gonna come over and check on the situation. Jab's out of regen for the time being, but does have his Ring of Aquila. So plenty of base damage to work with as Black does just chip at the jug a little bit down here. No supports getting involved in bottom lane, so it's time for Sark to start catching up already. And XY was looking for this kill on the Underlord up top, but yeah, unsuccessful in that rotation. And 10-10-10, still waiting up here on the high ground. And that's trying to choose his angle of approach, and they're actually going to spot the Rubik off to the side. The Metamorphosis is going to get popped, and Jabs seeming a little bit more interested in the building as opposed to going for the Rubik's life. There will be a wraparound gank from Raji, and they've got the Meteor from Tiki, the lift back, along with the Cold Snap. Terrorblade dropping extremely low, but the Poor Man's Shield helping to keep him alive. He will try and turn around for a couple of auto attacks, and they will lose the Rubik in the end, but it looks like Nuts with the auto attacks from the Invoker will be brought down. XY able to walk away, leaving behind an X marks the spot on Tiki, but still 2 extremely valuable kills for GeekFam and some great catch-up for the Invoker as well, picking up at least the kill on the Crystal Maiden. Raji with the kill on the Terrorblade, however, is getting quite close to his Arcane Boots, which is definitely nice. Again, these Arcane Boots are going to be a really important part of the spam for GeekFam, just to keep the Firestorm supplied, keep the Fade Bulk going. So definitely looking out for those Arcane Boots to come up as early as possible, and I think that's also a big part of why they put the Underlord up top the way that they do. Give him the levels, give him the Arcane Boots. Looks like a smoke wraparound coming in from the side, but alright, has this Observer Ward being seen from the Dire? Nope, still in fog. They're gonna come running in here. They've got the Torrent as well. Connection Invoker, will he be able to get into the Ghost Walk? That's the question. He doesn't have the mana for it. And Tiki will fall once more to this double support rotation towards the mid lane. Fortunately for them, they didn't take too much damage off of that Metamorphosis, and it is on cooldown now for Jabs. So this tier 1 tower is still looking reasonably healthy. Sai is actually your lead farmer in the game right now, picking up some power treads, and looks like he's going to be going for the Fisticuffs Elder Titan build. He's picked up 3 points in the Astral Spirit, 3 points in the Natural Order. Looking like he might even be building just to get involved in these fights, kind of run in and lay down the law. I'm interested to see what items he goes for. I feel like if you're going full right click, maybe you just go for an Echo Saber. He's probably the one that goes for the Solar Crest this game for his team. Definitely not a bad idea. Jump onto Psionic's bottom. He'll be able to just spin away and salve himself back up. So unable to burst him down without any actual hard lockdown. Over at mid, Jabs. They're looking for the stun on him, but Raji waits way too long, and Jabs will actually be able to sidestep the Meteor entirely. Down at bottom, Psionic's gone on once again. This time around, it's the Healing Ward that helps keep him alive while the spin is on cooldown. XY just finding a bit of CS. Psionic's waiting for his 2 full HP and full mana supports to come over here and utilize the Shrine. They do have an Omnislash on the jug, but Jabs with the Metamorphosis rotating down towards bottom, setting his sights now on the offlane tier 1. Black still not really a whole lot of farm to his name, but gonna get involved as now the Underlord TP's down here. There's the Pit of Malice, there's the level 3 Firestorm. They get the lift back onto the TB. Do they get the Sunstrike? They will as the pit reactivates, and Jabs takes a fall. Invoker even just going to keep on farming over at the mid lane in the meantime, and Ice will do his best to push out top, but Raji already rotating in before he can even think about getting close to the tower. They got to drop the Omnislash onto the Kunkka. They've got the vision around the corner from this Dire Observer Ward, and GeekFam will pick up that kill on mid. Alright, nice start. Going to start building up a little bit of a net worth lead. They're actually the ones who are putting the pressure on the tower right now, so I said that their lineup was built to kind of stall and pick off, but they're already getting down to putting some pressure on the buildings. I mean, it's still going to be important for them to take the buildings so that they can open up space for that other part of their strategy to really kick in, but I'm just surprised that they're being so successful in finding these trades and putting on pressure early against a lineup that has a Terrorblade. But I guess it does go to show that there's a pretty big difference between picking a Terrorblade last into a completely uncountered lineup and You know, picking a Terrorblade is one of your first two. Bottom pressure onto Black. Does manage to pounce away. Ticks out, however. Had wand charges. Didn't pop him. That Firestorm just lingering that little bit longer and Black's dead. That's not good. Alright, this is starting to look okay for the Invoker. Gets a few more free hits on the mid lane. Working his way towards his Midas, which is looking pretty timely right now. One more Sunstrike kill would get him there very, very easily. Elder Titan going to bring the Spirit back in. Now has the bonus damage. I don't know why he didn't do that a little bit earlier. Spiked Carapace from Raji. Nice sidestep on the stun, and looks like ET might be able to keep on fighting. But there are now 3 GeekFam heroes up here. Going to go for the TP out in the Fade Bolt from the Rubik. Going to finish that kill at the last second. GeekFam with the counter rotation, and once again finding some very nice kills. What is ISSI buying? Just going to be working towards a drum right now as bottom lane. They get another Metamorphosis looking to pressure. They are coming in. Raji just died up top, and the poor guy is going to TP right into his death at bottom. The Underlord is going to Dark Rift down towards bot. Unfortunately, once again, Jabs will only get a couple of auto attacks onto the tier 3 before Velo shuts him down. And Invoker pretty happily just farming mid. Alright, well I thought that the Faceless supports were going to crush it and set up for all these tower pushes. Looks like it might still happen here. Jabs needs to be careful. Good meteor damage. Doesn't really have anyone to Sunder just yet. Could go for one of his supports. Yeah, Sunder's up XY. Nuts was looking a little bit low. So I won't go for him. Okay, can they get this tier 3? Looks like they'll tier 1. They finally will be able to. Even with all of Velo's TPing from lane to lane and spamming Firestorms. He doesn't have a TP cooldown, and his Dark Rift is also on cooldown, so finally the tier 1 tower will fall. He's making pretty nice progress towards his mech. Black not having a very fun time right now, but he's got his Iron Talon. Again, if they can maintain the map control, Slark will be able to catch up somewhat. But... oh, Nyx Assassin is on the prowl, and looks like Black could be the target once again down on bottom. He is just taking this as a little opportunity to heal up inside of the trees. Not going to get that range creep last hit even. Just has no idea where the Nyx Assassin is right now. Jabs could be the target. They do have a fairly high level Sunstrike to drop on top of this. Though only level 4 in fact. He has prioritized 4 points up in the Quas. And Jabs able to sidestep the stun, so he's going to be A-okay. Had the Sentry Ward, so knew that he was there. Meanwhile up top. Psionics also not having that fun of a time, but at least doing a little bit better than Black overall. In terms of the net worth, Jabs is up there, just working on his Dragon Lance, so a little bit more combat-oriented of a build than going for the Yasha, which certainly farms faster. I think if you're just going to be sitting back and farming, then the Yasha is definitely the better choice, but you know, the extra survivability on the Dragon Lance is really nice. If your plan is just to keep pushing towers, and I think that is his plan here. Since Jabs is, I think in a lot of ways, just making space for Black this game. He's pushing buildings, he's sort of drawing attention away from him. And then hopefully the idea is that Black comes back later on and starts shredding everybody, because this is a good Slark game. You're good against Invoker, more or less. You're good against Jug, pretty good against Underlord. Rubik is just a free kill. The Nyx Assassin can be a little bit of a thorn in your side, but once you get the right amount of farm, then this is definitely a game that a Slark can completely take over. So the space creation will continue. Terrorblade's gonna pop the meta once more up at top. And Glyph gets popped. 10-10-10 does have his level 6. We've got the Spirit scouting things out a little bit. And Elder Titan has just opted to go straight for a Vlad, so buffing up that damage a little bit more from the Terrorblade, helping to negate a bit of that Atrophy Aura effect from Velo, as GeekFam do have 3 heroes just standing up here to defend. They've got a nice Vendetta coming through from the Nyx Assassin, going the long way around, as mid lane will get pushed in a little bit further by the Invoker. Teehee needing to back up into the jungle soon to go and put his Hand of Midas on cooldown. And Jabs, after getting repelled up top, is going to immediately TP bottom lane, but Velo continues to chase him to the ends of the earth, but this time around he got X-marked. They've got the Sunstrike on the Crystal Maiden. GeekFam do find that pick off, but that X marks the spot, preventing the Underlord from defending bottom lane. It looks like Faceless might actually just be able to keep on pushing down here. Where's the GeekFam TPs?
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's
Are there none?
structures are
Alright,
fortified.
TP from Rubik.
Radiant's top
Velo
tower
just
is
gonna
under attack.
push top lane, but this is not what he wants to be doing right now. Omnislash is gonna get dropped on the Kunkka. Extremely nice torrent! Saved his life, but the Sunstrike might kill him anyway. Actually, it's Raji running in with the mana burn who finds the kill. Oh man, that torrent was sick, but
Radiant's top tower is
never
under
mind
attack.
that. Still goes down. Alright. 2-1 tower up. Crystal Maiden just walks into the wrong neighborhood. Maybe didn't realize that the Underlord is waiting in the trees. And now with the spin, that's dropping real low. One last chop. Gets finished off.
Radiant's top tower is under
The
attack.
tier 2 is successfully defended down bottom, but not without taking a decent amount of damage. Black is just straight rushing his Shadow Blade right now.
Radiant's top
Tower gets brought down up top. They are going to get the X marks torrent combo onto Velo, but still has the healing ward helping him out a little bit. And now with no disables left, he's just going to TP himself out. Psionics also had the spin TP combo ready to escape at a moment's notice, so there you go. Tier 1 almost gets finished off by Teehee, but looks like maybe the glyph reset from... No, not even the glyph reset from top saving it, just couldn't quite...
Radiant's middle tower has been denied.
Couldn't quite do enough damage to actually threaten the kill. Rubik gonna come running in here. Black afraid that he's got some backup, but 10-10-10 is actually just scouting a little bit. That's so weird to watch the... watch the Slark just run away from the Rubik like that, but he didn't really see anybody. He does see the Nyx Assassin now, but even seeing the Nyx Assassin, you know, you could get
Dire's top tower is
lifted
under
into an
attack.
Omni/Sunstrike or something like
Dire's
that.
top
I guess he
tower
knows that
has fallen.
Omni is also on cooldown. Black playing it pretty conservatively. Looks like this Dire Observer Ward going to be dealt with pretty quickly, even giving that over to their carry. Another space creation mission is up there for Jabs on top. He's going to get Velo to come and defend this, while space is made for Slark to keep on farming over in their jungle. Jab still #1 on net worth right now. Invoker just rushing straight into the Aghanim Scepter, and a big bounce from Black finds Teehee down on the low ground. A couple more shots should finish him off. He's going to be able to keep on running, but it looks like the Dark Pact should be enough. And with a little bit of extra help from the Crystal Nova, Faceless will find an extremely valuable kill. That was the lead farmer
Radiant's
on
bottom
GeekFam
tower
going
is
down.
under attack.
And a huge influx of gold for Black. That should be a Shadow Blade finish now, yeah.
Dire's
That's Shadow
top
Blade
tower
done.
is under attack.
Meanwhile, up top, Velo is survivable, but not survivable enough. Looks like just getting comboed down. And Raji still skittering around the map trying to find a Vendetta kill, but he really hasn't. I guess they killed the Crystal Maiden over here with it earlier, but
Dire's top
Faceless
tower
5-manning
is under
enough
attack.
that they're not really worried about it. Jab's gonna pick
Dire's
up that
top
tier
tower
2.
has fallen.
They're kind of laughing at this Underlord, I think, in some ways. For GeekFam, the idea really seemed to be, the idea that they had this game is like, oh yeah, Underlord, easy counter the Terrorblade, makes the Terrorblade completely unplayable, and Faceless are like, well, we're not playing for the Terrorblade, we're playing for our Slark. And Black even able to start forcing some TPs out from the Jug at this stage, so I would anticipate that he's going to be ahead of the Jug in net worth before too long. Nyx Assassin just going to be going for a Blink Dagger here. I'd very much like to see a Force Staff, but big combo gets dropped down. Raji, however, looks like Invis is going to be enough to save him. XY now going to buy a Dust, so he'll have it ready for next time. Yeah, I don't know about this Blink. Maybe it's okay, but I don't know how aggressively he's going to be able to initiate with the Blink Dagger. It does help you get around the problem of the enemy team 5-manning with sentries, because you can still initiate without having to Vendetta, but what can they do? Alright, they're going for the TV. They've got the Stolen Torrent and the Sunstrike coming in. He won't be able to get off the Sunder. 10-10-10 making some plays, but will either of them get out of here? That's the big question. Rubik going to be able to steal the Crystal Nova. Nice Carapace is going to cancel the Freezing Field, but they've also got the Nyx Assassin locked down. 4 heroes converging. Looks like Black's not even interested in the kill. He's going to keep on running over towards mid, just going to rely on his teammates to pick that one up. And he's got some farm waiting for him. Velo pushes out bottom somewhat. They do manage to get some nice Dire wards around the place, but Slark somewhat scouting those out with his ultimate. And unfortunately for GeekFam, they don't really have a whole lot of vision over in their own jungle right now, so they're not even really using it. Like, this jungle spawned at 17 minutes. It's been a minute and a half and nobody's farmed it. This is a lot of farm going begging. Looks like Teehee's gonna go over and clean some of it up, but that's some resources not really being utilized. You can say the same for Faceless. You know, they've got all these jungle camps that they haven't cleared on this rotation. But I guess that's mostly because Black is focusing on lanes now more than jungle farm. Velo, needing to be careful. Alright, looking for an X-Torrent boat combo. He's going to try and TP himself out. Do they have the damage? They've also got Black now pouncing in. And those auto attacks will bring him down. They get the 2-man Crystal Nova slow. And they're going to look to set up the stomp into the splitter. Rubik getting dragged back in. Nyx Assassin gets a rude awakening. Does manage to pop his Vendetta and run for the hills, but they've already lost 2 heroes. And now they're going to lose that tier 2 tower. They've even got the X mark back into the Torrent. Nyx Assassin, no Carapace anymore, and they've got the Vision as well. Up onto the high ground from the Spirit. Jabs already sieging away. They've got the Vlads. They've got the Solar Crest. They're doing this very quickly. Buyback from Velo. They're going to look to stomp him up immediately. Can he even get off the Firestorm? Looks like he might not be able to. The Shrine's going to keep him alive a little bit longer, but it is not enough. That's a dieback for the Underlord. The other core is not even close to being in position just yet. Teehee does have his Aghanim Scepter, so it's a big spike in effectiveness for him, but how do they lead off this fight? He's going to look for the Tornado EMP. Should get a little bit of a mana burn. The Stolen Torrent from the Rubik is great. Does manage to lift up Jabs a little bit, but he does have the Sunder ready to use. Turns it back around to Psionics, and Elder Titan able to deal with the Healing Ward. And even without getting the Lane of Rax here, Faceless have to be extremely happy. They got the dieback on the Underlord. They're going to be able to go over here and grab this Shrine now as well. So a huge influx of gold. 6k net worth, almost 4k experience. Rubik's now going to pick up his 60 GPM. I gotta give it to 10-10-10. He's been making some sweet plays so far this game, but it has just not been enough to stabilize. And like I said, the Slark is just going to keep on creeping up in terms of the net worth. Looks like Black going to be going for his Silver Edge next. Nyx Assassin is going to decide to buy a Midas. I don't know if I like this decision very much. I guess so long as Velo doesn't die again, then maybe they'll be alright, but I really wish he'd just gone for a Force Staff. It's so good at saving people from Stomp and saving people from Kunkka combo. Yeah, this is interesting. Alright. Invoker gonna go for the slightly split push here, +1 Forge Spirit summoned. Try and just get into some kind of holding pattern in this game, but the more they split push, the more they're opening themselves up to being picked off by the Slark, and while Black might not seem too scary just yet, his net worth is climbing extremely rapidly right now. Terrorblade has picked up his Manta Style on top of the Dragonlance and is now going to be going back for a BKB. We've got the Solar Crest as well to make that Roshan just that little bit easier, and the 4-man of Faceless continuing to play together as Black just kind of does his own thing out on the map. Looks like the Sunstrike is going to scout out the Roshan. It's still pretty healthy, and they do still have this Shrine near the pit to be able to TP over onto, so Rubik should be able to throw a Torrent that way. Gets a nice sentry down, will be able to throw back Black. They will be forced to disengage, but they pop the Metamorphosis, and that will secure the Roche. Black looking to jump back in. Raji a little bit isolated from his team. Nice Tornado, but it's only going to pick up the Kunkka. Black immediately getting out of that with the Dark Pact. Underlord up on the high ground, just getting auto attack down. One more is going to do it. Black Jab's picking up the double kill. Messing up the names because it was Black in the previous game, but Nyx Assassin running forward. There's no escape from the X mark, and Ice actually has so much damage from the Spirit. Just punches him down. The 2 cores from GeekFam do survive, but Jug feeling like he can't engage at all against the Terrorblade, the Slark, and the Elder Titan. Faceless. It was an 80-minute game 1, but it's looking like it might be a sub 30-minute game 2 here as they look to close out the series. GeekFam just don't have the resources. Nyx Assassin still nothing other than this Midas. They've got a BKB on the Elder Titan. I think they're going to have a BKB on the Terrorblade before too long. Gem picked up by the Kunkka. The momentum from Faceless is ridiculous. And XY even going to go take a little vacation back at the fountain just to pick up that gem. And Black hasn't even had to carry this game. Like, I really thought that the plan was, alright, the 4-man from Faceless was going to go and make space for Black so that he could win the game, but he didn't even need to because his team is just winning the game without him. He's still going to get involved, still going to try and be useful, get a few free stacks off the Nyx Assassin, who does manage to juke himself away. There is the gem up, so the Vendetta wasn't going to save him. I think Black is just afraid of getting counter-initiated on. He's not the one with the Aegis right now. So they're just going to look to take utter map control. Like, they've got a Slark and a gem. There's no way that there's any wards surviving from GeekFam at this stage. Velo still just working towards a Crimson Guard. Did go back for the Hood. I guess helpful against the Kunkka Burst potentially, and XY actually doing very nicely for himself. Level 12, has the second point up in the Ghost Ship. Just working on some Guardian Greaves, and hell, he's got, you know, it's got Arcane Boots and a mech for himself, so help keep the TB illusions alive. Jabs. Okay, since he got the Aegis, looks like he's deciding to go for Scotty instead of BKB. I think the BKB still would have been good, especially against the Invoker, but either is probably fine. This net worth graph was already looking pretty rough, but it's just going to keep on climbing now that Faceless have all the map control in the world. And just kind of starve him out. There isn't even anybody on GeekFam outside of their base other than this Jug, who has managed to find a couple little creeps here and there over in the Dire Jungle, but alright. We've seen this story before. It's GeekFam defending the high ground with their Underlord against the Terrorblade. They are going to throw in the Splitter. They've got a huge combo on the Invoker and the Rubik. Can they get them out of this one? He will be able to use himself up and keep on surviving. The Healing Ward doing decent work, but he gets dragged back in, and the Gem will help to drop him. He does buyback immediately. The double buyback used, but Faceless have already made their way forward onto the racks. The Glyph hasn't been expended just yet. Raji jumps in, but he almost gets 2-shot. Nice Carapace buys him a little bit more time, and they will be able to pop the ultimate. Pop the Aegis of the Terrorblade. He's coming back up. The Stomp buying him a little bit more space. He does manage to get off the Reflection. He gets 4 staffs, but it's back into the base. He's got the Sunder, looking to use it. Does get it onto Tiki, but his team really not backing him up, as Black has already been brought down by the Chaos Meteor of the Invoker. Oh. And that does just barely manage to TP out there in the trees. Alright. So they bought back on the Nyx, they bought back on the Invoker. They did manage to hold the ranged racks, but still a very costly team fight for them. And I guess Black, yeah, there you go. It's the, I just got completely demolished by Invoker, so I'm gonna queue up a BKB. It's not a fun BKB to buy, but it is an important one. And yeah, but this is the. I also just got demolished by the Invoker, so I am going to buy BKB instead of Scotty BKB. Alright, so double BKB's coming up. That'll probably be 2 lanes of racks once they get it. Invoker after the buyback, still getting a little bit of farm going. Raji scouting for a free kill, maybe. Wants to set up a Sunstrike pick if he can. Did they lose the gem? Yes, they did. That's actually really bad news. So Rubik can now come out onto the map. He can put some wards down. He can get the D ward on the Faceless wards, and they can actually have some space to farm. So that net worth graph that I was talking about, continuing to climb for Faceless, well, disregard that. That's not going to happen. We gotta chill out for a little bit if we're Faceless and just farm. Yep. This is a 2-pronged attempt on somebody's life over here at top. Looks like not going to find anyone. Faceless just kind of playing the buddy system right now over in their own jungle. Looks like what? Ice is going to be going back for an AC, just some more auras and utility for his team. He's the one who's got the BKB right now, so he can actually kind of run into the fights and lay down the law, but the rest of his team, you know, lagging behind a little bit on the battle plan. We do have a Blink Dagger on the Invoker. That's going to help his case in terms of split push somewhat. Faceless, even after losing that gem, still maintaining some very nice map control. And just gonna send the Slark to go and push out top for 3 waves or so, I think, to finish up his BKB. They do still probably want to go while these buybacks are on cooldown, so I would guess that the instant that these BKBs are online, they probably make a move, but still going to take a little bit longer to farm. So maybe they won't have too much of a window between the having to farm the BKBs and then how long the Underlord can stall it out. GeekFam, they would like a pickoff as well to potentially stall their way back to their buybacks, but they're not even really... I don't know. I don't know if they want to be saving for buyback at this stage either, even if they had them off cooldown. They really just got to get items so that they can actually win the fights. Jug does have his Diffusal Blade now, not too far away from level 18, so that's going to be a pretty big spike for him in terms of his damage. He's got a Blink Dagger up. Oh, Blink Dagger queued up as well right now. And Black. Alright, doesn't have the gem anymore, but does have a Dust. Gonna get scouted out by this ward, but he knows that he's being spotted. Trying to figure out what the vision situation is, though it is going to get a little bit confused with the Nyx Assassin stalking him right now. They do find Psionics just over here, and that reflection illusion, his own reflection illusion gives him a pretty hard time. But doesn't manage to spin TP out, so he's going to be A-OK. Nyx Assassin just going to go for an Ags. Alright, let's just stall the high ground build. Faceless come forward, put down some wards on the high ground. XY has some vision and an X marks the spot, but just too many GeekFam heroes in the neighborhood for him to do anything. Alright, that's BKB number 2 delivered. Where's BKB number 3? It's still a couple hundred gold away for Black, but this next wave and then a little bit of the Dire Jungle should help him get it. The 4-man from Faceless making their plays. Nyx Assassin going to come running up into a sentry ward here. That's trouble, but they've also got a combo getting dropped on the TB. This is what the BKB is for, however. Rubik has managed to steal the Conjure Image. Unfortunately, not the best ability for him to grab here. Another tornado gets thrown out, but TB just going to keep on running forward. It looks like Black is going to go split push the top lane in the meantime, so some of this is just a distraction. But doesn't have his BKB delivered, so it looks like he's going to just go farm that up instead. Ice, not going to let mid lane get pushed out too far. Does just poke his nose over. And with no Metamorphosis and no BKB, a little bit difficult for Terrorblade to continue this push. So it looks like back to farm stations for Faceless. Go hit some jungle creeps, chill out, maybe wait for a Roshan respawn. It's only about a minute away. So not too bad for them to chill out until they get that. Go just spin TP out. The Jugs had difficulty getting into the fights, but I think the Jug has still worked out to be a really nice pick this game, because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to put the Underlord safe lane. Jug was like one of the only heroes that could have dealt with the bottom lane if the Crystal Maiden and the... Oh my god, Suckers are double damage. He really wants his Underlord kill. Gonna pop the BKB now, but he doesn't have the backup of the Terrorblade Velo. Might actually still be able to teleport out here, and he does do so. The healing ward from Jug doing big work in Faceless. That's no BKBs, except for the Ice BKB. He's going to pop that now, looking to punch in. The healing ward's still going to work. Invoker does manage to juke into the trees. He uses himself up, but he won't be able to blink away. It is still on cooldown. They've got the reflection, keeping the vision. Nyx Assassin now getting auto attack down as well. Rubik with the stolen X marks the spot. Does manage to escape from this fight, but Velo, he survived the first time, but will not be so lucky now. As GeekFam forced to spend some buybacks to defend, but Invoker still doesn't have it, and Faceless, despite not having really anything from the Terrorblade that fight, will still be able to muscle the way up onto the high ground. Jug looks like the spin going to be forced out from him here. X mark the spot, will not drag him back, but Torrent still being held. Black going to finish off the bottom lane. Jab's only 8 seconds away from having his Metamorphosis back up, and with Invoker still in the hole for 45, looks like this just could be Mega Creeps. And this might just be game. GeekFam going to keep up the spam. Looking to get a combo back. Nice Sunder. We've got Jabs back up to full HP. Velo dead. 10-10-10. Manages to kite away just a little bit as now the Omnislash comes in, but they are way too tanky. Especially with that Solar Crest on Ice. And Black just wants this kill. Looking for the pounce. Does get body blocked a little bit by Raji, so ends up pouncing himself backwards. Not in an awkward situation. Does run through the Meteor, and will be brought down by that as they also get the lockdown onto the Terrorblade and finish him off. Invoker, one auto attack to finish him. He got in range of the ET Aura, and now Black is just tearing them apart. Oh my god, the Solar Crest and the ET Aura. Invoker had no armor at all. And Black, alright, what's the plan here? Hit the buildings? Get the tier 3? Nope, it's going to be go for the Nyx Assassin. Pops the BKB to avoid the stun. Nicely played. And that's going to be one more pick off. It's only the Rubik and the Jug alive, and this is a Jug without an Omni Slash and a Slark who does have a Shadow Dance, so I think it's going to be very difficult to force Black out of their base. They do manage to burn some of his mana. Nice blink forward with those Jug illusions. And alright, that'll be enough to get him out of here.
Dire's middle barracks are under
Underlord, well, his base is kind of a shambles. Roshan's back up, so Faceless go and take that. Probably put it on the Slark. He's got the gem back now, 4.6k gold. Net worth graphs, well, they stabilized for a little bit. We are back on the Faceless train. 2.5k net worth advantage now. Almost 20k experience as well. Not 2.5k, 25k. The net worth advantage now. LTB, he wanted this Scotty a little bit earlier. I think he's had this ultimate orb sitting in his inventory for a while, but looks like he will finally finish that up in a second. Kunkka has his level 18. Elder Titan has his AC. Oh my lord. It almost feels like Ice is just playing this hero kind of as if you would, you know, would the Abaddon. You just run into fights, you hit some people, you've got some useful utility for your team, but then he's got that crushing team fight as well with the Earth Splitter, which is being really nicely set up by the Kunkka. So, or he's setting up for the Kunkka with a Stomp, either way. This is a Faceless death push for top. What's the dire buyback situation? It's not looking good. They don't have a single one. If somebody gets bursted, they're going to be in big trouble. They were trying to get a wraparound from the side, preventing Faceless from getting up onto their high ground, but it's Black who's going to go into the front at top, focusing on the Underlord for the time being. The healing ward will help to keep him alive, but he just gets punched down. Mega kill streak for Ice. That's 2 BKBs forced, but they know that the Underlord is not going to be returning to this fight in jabs. Meanwhile, taking the initiative over at mid lane, does pop the Metamorphosis, cleans up that lane. This is going to be Mega Creeps coming up, and GeekFam just trying to figure out what kind of play they can make. Tier 4 is now being focused. Raji still sitting on only this lonely Hand of Midas in his inventory, as Faceless, with only a single kill, looking like they should be able to come in and get this here. The boat is still on cooldown for now, but the Omni Slash doing very, very little. 10-10-10, completely out of position, and he'll be brought down. Black running forward slowly, doesn't have the bonus move speed, but he's not even needed, as Jab still doing some heavy lifting, picks up the double, and GeekFam will GG out as Faceless take this series 2-0. It took them 80 minutes in game 1, but only 35 minutes here in game 2 to close out the series. I'm so impressed by, I think, one, by Faceless's draft this game. They dangled the Terrorblade in front of GeekFam, and they're like, hey, you think you can counter the Terrorblade? What's your plan? And they tried to. They picked the Invoker, and they picked the Underlord, and then it turned out because Faceless had the last pick, they're like, hey, this is a game that Slark can win all by himself, though I don't even know if he ended up being that important in the end. Jabs and the rest of the team just finding pickoffs, getting the tower pushes, dragging the Underlord here, there, and everywhere, and then canceling some of his Dark Grifts with the X marks the spot. So a couple of weird heroes, but felt like a Faceless lineup down to